Welcome to the 4th episode of the Pink Hoodie podcast. I'm here with James.
You didn't hit record.
Oh, fuck. Sweet. Alright. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Pink Hoodie podcast. This is going to be a little different episode. I'm here with my buddy James.
What's up, guys?
He's my friend. And today I was gonna kind of discuss my situation with mental illness and how I went to a psych ward and kind of tell a story about that.
Yeah.
And talk about mental illness and try to make it a little funny with my experience, but not generalize anything really.
I think ideally from what I've gathered from Tyler and what he wants to do with this episode, the whole point of this is, yes, these things are very serious, and we know that from experiences from not just Tyler but myself, but it is serious, but there's parts of it that you can look at, and I feel like the world we live in, if you're not really able to laugh about things, then you can't really live much of a happy life, and that's all a part of getting better, and we'll talk about that later, but yeah, go ahead.
So I guess I'll start at the beginning. I was born in Lancaster with my parents and my brother.
Yeah.
And I had a normal childhood, I guess. Not really. It was okay. Very religious household. A lot of guilt. Religious guilt. I remember one time in 3rd grade, I was crying to my dad. I was like, I swear sometimes. And he was like, it's okay, son.
Did you ever get spanked?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Did you get spanked?
Yeah, but not often. But did you?
Yeah, I got spanked. With a spoon.
Nah, bro.
Wooden spoon.
Bare hand.
Well, my mom did the bare hand. My dad did the spoon.
Wooden spoon.
Wooden spoon. It's brown. Still have the spoon.
Will you spank your kids? Probably
not. I don't want to hit people.
Yeah.
I'm not about that. So yeah, it's kind of a normal-ish childhood.
Yeah.
Went to church every Sunday, but I was pretty into religion as a kid, but definitely not now. And there was a lot of, like I said, a lot of guilt. I have a joke about this, but I cut myself because I thought God was mad at me for masturbating. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
You'll think I'm joking about that, but no, I was like, God's pissed that I'm jerking my penis. This'll help me get on his good side.
Am I allowed to vape on this? I didn't even ask.
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
vape.
Cool.
Your studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents were always really passive people.
Yeah.
They're very by the book.
The actual the book.
The book.
I personally think the Bible's a joke, but that's a whole nother episode. I'm sorry, if anybody's watching this and knows me and thinks I'm still with that religion shit, nah. I think the Bible's a joke.
There's parts of it I still vibe with, but a lot of it I'm hell no.
I was very religious as a kid.
Yeah, same.
I just think I asked a lot of questions about the Bible that no one really had answers to, and that was just things about just realistic shit, nature and
I remember one time my family watched the Kirk Cameron movie Left Behind about the rapture.
Yeah.
And I started crying halfway through. It's I'm going to hell.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would worry about hell so much as a kid.
We watched Passion of the Christ at my school.
I never watched that. I don't want to watch it.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was very, very weird. But we had to watch it. It was our final.
Uh-huh.
It was to get through the movie and then write a paper on it or some shit.
Damn.
It's awful. Yeah. I just, the whole thing with, how does a man go into a cave with, 4 lions and then walk out that shit? It just doesn't happen.
And the Jonah thing and the ark.
Yeah, if Christians, said that these were just fables to teach lessons, they'd be so much better off.
Yeah.
Because everyone would know that it's just...
Well, they are like that, some of them, but, the fundamental people, fundamentalists are, where... shit's if you're gay, you're going to hell type stuff. We're getting a little off track. So religion, and then and so starting in 5th grade, I would get worried about shit.
Yeah.
like, if someone joked about, like, oh, I'm gonna cut off your arm, like, I'd be like, are you really gonna cut off my arm? Like, I'd take everything, like, literally.
Yeah.
And, like, I'd worry, like, if I, like, got put on too much deodorant, I'd, like, die. So, like, weird shit.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't really, like, tell anyone about that, because I was like, this is weird. And then, as I grew up, I started having, like, obsessive, like, thoughts about stuff. Like, I'd worry, like, the stove was on and shit. Like, and I, like, asked my parents, like, is the stove on?
Yeah.
Like, a lot at night, like, every night. And if I couldn't, I wasn't able to fall asleep.
Right.
So, like, during that time, I was just, like, a zombie at school. Because I could not go to sleep. And then, so then that started happening. And then, so, like, then I kind of thought, like, oh, I'm, like, a fucked up kid.
Just a weird kid.
Yeah.
This
And
is just
I
my
was
life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, I was still religious at the time, and I was, like, angry at God. I was like, why'd you make me, like, fucked up? You know?
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it at the time. And then, like, I kind of, like, started, like, having, like, a self-hatred of myself. Like, why do I have to, like, do these, like, rituals before I, like, go to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
And, that was really, like, bothering me a lot. And then, like, freshman year of, like, high school, I was having, like, obsessive, like, violent thoughts towards people.
Yeah.
Which is a common thing in OCD. And, like, I was like, fuck, I'm, like, really fucked up. Because, like, these are, like, not...
You didn't, like, feel, like, safe within your own body, basically.
Yeah. It was, like, a nightmare. And, like, I would, like... This is kind of funny, but, like, it's so stupid. Like, I would, like, leave a room and, like, walk back in to make sure I didn't, like, murder anybody. Which is funny now, but, like, at the time I was like, I can't keep, like, living like this.
I think prefacing a lot of this, too, like, with you, like, you see the world in jokes.
Yeah.
You're a comedian, that's what you do.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that that's something that, you know, is good to say and is good to just understand because, like, everybody has their own way of dealing with things. And, you know, I think the one thing, like, even just before you go further, because I know you're going to get into some deep shit, and, like, I've heard some of these stories, and, yeah, some of them are pretty funny, but, like, also, like we said, you know, there is a seriousness of it, but this is how we deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, like, make light of anything.
Yeah, no, we want to make that very clear, but just because I know you're about to go into some deep shit, you know, our whole entire goal with this here, I think, is to just, you know, have the conversation and, you know, enjoy
That was a
ourselves.
good disclaimer.
Yeah, I just wanted to do that just before we go really deep, just if no one caught the beginning.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
If you're not listening. Which wouldn't make any sense.
If you skip the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, what is this? We're going to put a disclaimer every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So we're OCD. And then, like, that was kind of like when, like, the depression kind of came in. Like, I was like, fuck, like I don't want to keep, like, living with this type of shit. Like, thinking, like, these thoughts, like, every day. And, like, then I started seeing a counselor. And they were, of course, Christian counselors.
Oh my god. Whose decision was that, though?
My parents, obviously.
Yeah.
And the first guy kind of thought he was a pedophile, so I was like, don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Next guy, his place was called Shepherd's Touch. And I was like, are you just trying to pick people that, like, might be pedophiles?
Right.
And then I went with him for, like, 3 weeks. Then they moved me to another guy because I did not like him either. Dr. Doug.
It's just...
That's what we
Shepherd's Touch and then Dr. Doug?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was better, but he was also kind of an asshole sometimes.
Yeah.
I've
had therapists like that.
Yeah.
Dicks.
Like, you're just, like, mean.
Yeah, like, what are you doing
for
to
no
me?
reason?
Just, like, tossing your whole life apart, too.
Yeah.
Like, they'll do it about your situation. You'll just be like, bro.
Like, I'm trying to get help. And you're like, well, you shouldn't have done that shit. Well, fuck you.
Yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Sips their coffee. Just all day coffee breath.
That'll be $45.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I really wanted to get, like, medication.
Yeah.
At that point, because I was like, therapy isn't helping a shit ton. And that was, like, one of the only other, like, options I had. So then I was on Prozac for, like, a year. And then I stopped seeing him and just took the Prozac because I didn't really like him that much. And then it was fine for like 6 months, but then I kind of started feeling like a zombie with like no emotions.
I remember that. That was around the time we met. And that
no. This was 16. I was 16 at this point.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other medicine.
Yeah. Well,
are you going to get into that? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Because that's more of the stuff I know.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
And then I went to what's that place called? The
Philhaven?
Yeah, I went to Philhaven.
Yeah.
And they talked to me about like my obsessive thoughts. I wasn't like, it was like outpatient stuff. I wasn't like ever in Philhaven like to stay. And then I'd check in with them every 4 or 5 months.
Right.
And then I got off them senior year of high school. Senior year, I didn't really have a good high school experience that much. I didn't really have make a lot of like friends.
Yeah.
I was like, in some classes I was like really like goofy and stuff. But, like other classes, like I wouldn't say like a word.
Right. Do you think that was a part of the OCD or?
Maybe. I had like a lot of like anxiety, like social anxiety at that point.
Yeah.
Like I did not come out of my shell until college. Yeah. And so then senior year's over. Then I started at Hack. Okay. First semester at Hack, I hated it so much. I didn't have a car. I would get up at like 6:30 every day. My dad would drop me off.
And you'd be there all day.
And I'd be there all day, just like sitting on my ass and like studying or something. Right. But I was just like watching like illegal movies from like a Russian like website that'll like give people viruses.
On the Hack computers?
Yeah, on the
That's
Hack computers. Yeah. They probably have a couple viruses.
Oh, 100%. It's community college.
Yeah.
That whole thing's tapped with so much stuff, bro.
And then I was like the darkest I've felt. Like I was like mildly suicidal, and I've had like the therapist called it like suicidal ideation, like thinking it'd be better like if I was dead, you know?
Right.
And then after that semester, I was like, I think I want to go back on pills. So then I tried Zoloft.
Is this where I come in the picture?
Yeah, this is where James comes in. So, yeah, when you first met me, I was on Zoloft.
Yeah.
And
do you want to talk about that?
How we met?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, I studied my freshman year at Millersville, and then sophomore year, I decided to take a break from Millersville for reasons that are in part somewhat similar to your situation, but I definitely needed a break. So I went to Hack. My first class at Hack, was that first semester still? Was that first?
Was second semester.
Second semester?
Yeah.
So I didn't meet you until second semester?
Yeah.
So second semester, in going into the spring semester, I had to take a writing course. Was that writing or English?
English.
Right, and so Tyler was there, and who was that other kid in that class? Bro, oh my god. All right, hold on. This I have to tell this story. So you remember that time where we were dogging on that other group in that class?
Yeah.
So we had this writing class together, and long story short, Tyler and I had that class together, and then my class after that together. And once I realized that he was in my second class, I dapped him up. I was like, all right, bet. So I was just going to hang out with him because like it was like somebody that I could walk to class with, whatever. And so, but I got to tell the story because it's hilarious. So I'm at work the other day, and you remember the girl who we had the group chat, and I sent that picture of Lisa Berger from South Park in?
Which girl?
The one that looked like Lisa Berger.
Oh,
you know
her.
Not the one that looked like Cindy Crabgrass or whatever from Jimmy Neutron. The one.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She walked into work, and bro, I had to go to the back room. I could not stop laughing. I was like, oh my god, this is the girl. We actually we roasted and toasted.
You roasted and toasted.
No.
I was a bystander.
No, that whole group was roasting everyone in that group for no reason because they were so boring.
We were like shitting on the group.
Oh my god. Yeah. And then the Cindy
from Jimmy Neutron.
From Jimmy Neutron. Cindy Crabgrass was not right. That was Susie Crabgrass. I want to correct that from Dead Sea Classified School Survival Guide. But Cindy from Jimmy Neutron.
Do you want me to tell that story real quick?
You can tell that.
Okay, so
I don't remember that one as
we
much
had
as the other one.
A group. we had 2 groups. We had to do a debate for our final. The first.
What was our topic? Were we for?
We were for free education, like college education. And the first,
So stupid.
the first group who went, they had about free healthcare. So they did their whole speech. It was boring as fuck. And then.
Were they the people that were against healthcare? Was that why we were dogging on them, like against like free
I don't
healthcare?
know. Probably. And then they were like, okay, does anybody have any questions? And I was just trying to be a smart ass, and I was like, what's healthcare?
I forgot about this.
And no one laughed. And then,
What do you mean, bro? I was
you were
laughing
dying. You
so
were like
hard.
silently laughing. In the
I
back.
actually was in the corner
Yeah.
with just my head in my hands, just like, oh my. And at this point, Tyler and I had developed a really strong friendship
Yeah.
at this point. But it was really, really funny just to be like, oh my, dude, the room was silent.
But no one else
It was just
laughed.
me and Tyler.
And
oh
then-
my god. Even the teacher was like, yo.
She looked at me. She was like,
She looked at you, but like she didn't say a thing. Because like
Yeah.
she didn't even want to.
Yeah.
Like she didn't want to, but the girl.
and then Cindy? Yeah, Cindy.
Yeah, she works at Whole Foods. If you want to know.
Of fucking course she does. And there's this girl. She was like super like you know those like liberals who are like too liberal.
Yeah. Yeah.
This girl. Well, she
Yeah.
works at Whole Foods, so
Yeah,
that kind
it
of
makes sense.
fits into the narrative. And then
It was very clear. Like we would have these class discussions and like.
like she thought she was like better than everybody.
Everyone, and everyone hated
Yeah.
her. She just like said things in the middle of class that like just would not make sense. And who else was the other kid? We had the kid that sat next to you. Who was that? He was chill.
Bobby Keebler,
What did he look like?
like a frat boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to high school with him.
Oh, okay, word.
Yeah, and so then Sydney from Jimmy Neutron says, "Do you actually know what healthcare is? Or are you just trying to be funny?" And I'm like,
Yeah, she's like, because we're trying to be serious
Yeah.
and we don't think this is a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I was trying to be funny. And then it was awkward as fuck. I was like, this girl roasted me. I have to get her back. So we go up.
Oh my god, I forgot about this whole story.
And then we go up. We're
gosh.
pro free education. And I have like, I talk about like what Bernie Sanders says about free college
Oh my god,
tuition.
so Tyler, we had a group meeting and Tyler came into the group meeting with a mask that he cut out himself of Bernie Sanders
I
with
look
a
like a
rubber
crazy
band taped to
person.
it and was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this when I
Yeah.
go up and talk about Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, we were memeing the hell out of this presentation.
We
Like,
got
just
an
didn't
A on
care.
the
But
presentation.
we got an A.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And then I go up, and I'm like, oh, guys, we have a special guest. Bernie Sanders is here. I turn around, put the mask on, turn back around.
And people
Start
were
laughing. And so does Sydney.
Yeah.
Cindy. Why do I keep saying Sydney?
I think her name was Sydney, actually.
Cindy. I think it's Cindy. C-I-N.
No, Cindy from Jimmy Neutron, but I think her actual name was Sydney.
Okay. And then she starts laughing, and I just like turn to her with the mask on. I'm like, I'm trying to take this seriously. I actually care about my education.
Yeah.
That's what she said. And then it just goes silent.
Yep. And I'm
And
sorry
you're
at the front of the
dying.
class actually laughing, like so hard. Like, oh my god, dude.
And then the teacher shouts to Hedel Thacker. She wasn't that good of a teacher.
Yeah, she was awful.
And she just like looks at me and shakes her head.
She was smiling though. She thought that's the thing because
Yeah.
I remember that like we were like freaking out that like she was like actually pissed
Yeah, I thought.
and
she
that
was good.
she was just gonna dock our grade or whatever because of that, and she like smiled because like I think
Yeah.
she knew like it was just playful banter like
Yeah.
nothing crazy, but that was one of the funniest moments.
Thank you.
Anyway, but yeah, Tyler and I met, and I don't know. You want to talk about that year? I feel like
That was
for-
like. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go
Okay.
because I want to go off of
That year, I was in like a really shitty place to start, but like after like meeting you and like doing like stand up more, that kind of like boosted like my happiness meter, I guess.
Right.
Cause like you're definitely one of like my closest friends, and like I've kind of like distanced myself from like some of the friends from like high school, cause like they get into some shit that I'm like
Yeah.
not about.
And I think everyone has that
yeah.
kind of moment where, and it keeps going throughout the years, like,
yeah.
And I've realized that, and I feel like a lot of people that talk about, like, they have, like, these high school friends, like, you're going to learn that, like, as you go throughout the years, like, those people are just going to disappear.
Yeah.
Unless they're, like, serious and significant in your life, you're not going to talk to those people. There's people that I used to be friends with that, best friends, bro.
Yeah.
I don't talk to them anymore.
I guess, like, through all this whole situation, I kind of, like, found out, like, who my real friends are.
Yeah.
Which is good, and, like, you're one of my best friends.
Absolutely, bro.
I love you, bro.
Love you too, Doc.
And, so, yeah. So then, the hack, towards the end, things started, like, looking up and stuff. But I did not want to stay at home with my parents and go to hack for another year. Because I was living with them, still didn't have a car. And, so I was like, I'm gonna move away. So I looked at the farthest, like, in-state school, which was Slippery Rock University. I didn't even visit the school. It was, like, one of the cheaper schools. I was like, there, I want to be far.
Right.
And so then I left late August. I met some people, had started, like, a friend group, but I was still, like, I, like, missed people, like, from home, and I still, like, had a definite still, like, depression, like, OCD, and, like, it would take me forever to, like, go to sleep at night, and I would, like, push the bed in, like, multiple times to, like, make sure it was, like, perfect, which sounds stupid.
Yeah.
But,
I remember, Tyler, I mean, you called me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James, you were, like, one of, like, my biggest supports through that time.
Yeah, that was, I'm gonna let you finish that. I'm gonna just give, like, my overall thoughts then. Just because, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, things were looking kind of up. I started dating somebody for a couple months. Yeah. That was...
I personally was not a fan.
We broke up in, November. I kind of had, like, a lot of guilt about, like, breaking up with her because that was my first, like, real girlfriend, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, the thing is, she lived, like, on my floor, so I had to see her every day, like, without fail.
Yikes.
And she was also in my friend group.
I mean, but that's how it be sometimes when you're in college.
Yeah. And then, I would, like, do this, like, ritual, like, I'd have to, like, get all, like, the pee out of my bladder, so I would, like, force it, like, hard when I went to the bathroom before I went to sleep. And, like, I did that for, like, months, and then, like, I
didn't even know this.
Oh, I thought...
I don't think you ever told me that.
Oh, shit. And then...
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, I was starting to get, like, a shit ton of, like, abdominal pain. And, like, after that semester ended, I went to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you gotta, like, stop doing this. You're, like, straining your, like, muscles. I was like, oh, fuck. And, like, the pain would be, like, it was, like, a lot of pain. And he's like, he gave me these, like, pills that, like, took that away. He's like, you have to, like, stop doing this. I was like, fuck, okay. And I was like, maybe I should go back on medicine. So I went on Lexapro. Oh, wait. There was a brief time before I went to Slippery Rock where I was on Wellbutrin, and then I wanted to kill myself, so I stopped that. And,
just a brief.
Yeah, brief, like, a month. I was like, I hate this so much. Crazy. And then, I was on Lexapro for, like, a month during a break, and then I stopped, like, right before I went back to school, because I was like, I want to drink and get fucked up. And, yeah, and, oh, yeah, I don't know if I told you about this. I think I did. But, like, I was talking to my therapist, like, recently, and she said, like, I had, like, a passive suicide attempt where I was, like, drinking, like, a shit ton.
I do know about this.
Oh, yeah. And then, I, like, purposely slept on my back because I was nauseous, and I kind of wanted to, like, die kind of thing.
That's so weird.
Yeah. That was, like, first semester.
So,
yeah.
You have all these thoughts, you have all these things going on in your head, you're taking all these different medicines. Like, at this point, where's your head at?
Not at a good space.
Right.
Like, the relationship was kind of, like, I was like, I don't think this is going to, like, work out.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And I also tried, like, Oxycontin. which was bad.
Yeah.
It was very hard to breathe on that, because I was like, I just wanted to find something to, like, take away, like, get out of my head, I guess. Yeah. And, so then I go back off the pills. You're not this is my fault, I fucked up. You're not supposed to just stop them cold turkey.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And then I was drinking a lot. And then me and my girlfriend broke up, like, 2 months before that, and then we kind of, like, hooked up when we were drunk. And then...
Still not a fan.
And that was a mistake on my part.
Yeah.
Well, and her part. And, then she wanted to get back together, and I didn't want to get back together, and then I felt, like, really shitty that, like, I did that.
Yeah.
And I have, like, just, like, beating myself up in my head. And then I was drinking a lot and, like, smoking a lot. Like, one day I did, like, every day of the week. And then, like, I was sick. And then, like, I, just did not feel okay for, like, 3 days. And, I met someone on Tinder, actually, and I met her at a party earlier that year, and I was like, hey, you want to hang out? And then got word of it. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna bleep that. I'm gonna bleep that name.
Bleep that out.
I'm gonna bleep that her name. And then she got wind of that, and then she was, like, pissed, and I was like, more self-loathing on my part. I was like, but fuck it, kind of like. So then we go get frozen yogurt. We had an okay time. She was kind of cool.
Right.
But I was honestly just trying to think of, like, something to get my mind off, like, my own self.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right. So fast forward to, like, so were you getting help for this at this time? I don't remember.
No.
Okay.
And,
when did that start?
That started after I went to the place.
Okay.
So a couple days after I smoked all that pot, I heard a voice in my head, and it told me to, like, make fun of this person, but it wasn't like, I've had, like impulsive thoughts before, that, like, OCD type intrusive thoughts, but that's like that's like my voice, you know.
Yeah.
But this was like a different thing. It was like a masculine, like, it almost kind of sounded like a demon voice in, like, a horror movie. And it was like, oh, fuck. Now I'm, like, freaking out at this point. I call my mom. I'm like, yo, what do I do? She's like, you should, like, look into, like, getting yourself, like, checked out somewhere.
Yeah.
And I tell my friend Emily, I'm not going to leave her name out because it's not, like, bad or anything. Yeah. And
I don't give a fuck if she's watching.
And Emily was a real help and, like, support through that time too, and she's like, I don't know what you should do. And I was like, okay. And then I had a date with this girl, this Tinder girl, that same night that I heard the voice. I was like, I'm fine. I can go on a date even though I fucking heard a voice like 2 hours ago. So we hang out, we get pizza, okay? Then we go back to her place and watch Scooby-Doo 2. Which I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid, so it was a rush.
Right.
And then I go back home after we watch the movie, and then I drive back to the parking lot, and I start walking home, and then I just feel like everyone's, like, after me. Like, very, like, weird paranoia.
Yeah.
Like, people are out to, like, get me, and I'm, like, looking at these people, and they, like, feel like someone's trying to get me. Mm-hmm. So I call my parents, I'm like, yo, I'm freaking out. I had this voice thing today, and now this, like, what should I do? My dad was thinking, like, maybe I should just, like, get pulled out of school and, like, get help. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So then I decided to go to the health center. I call up Emily. I'm like, hey, can you come to the health center with me? And she's like, yeah. So then I talked to the nurse. They put me on a crisis hotline center for, like, an hour. I'm talking to them. And then I had, like a violent OCD thought while I was talking to them, and then I'm like, fuck, I don't want to, like, tell them that I had this thought. I was like, I probably should. And I told them, and they're like, okay, just because you told us that, we need to bring in a police officer. And I'm like, no, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then, so I talked to the lady on the phone, and she's like, I was like, what do you think I should do? And she's like, well, by what you're telling me, I think you should check yourself into the hospital. I was like, fuck, I don't want to do that. And then I'm like, then I decide I guess I should do this to get help. And like Emily's crying and I'm like about to cry and it's like a whole thing. It was sad.
Did I call her? Did I talk to her at all?
I don't think so.
I think that I did, and
Maybe.
I have this vague memory that I texted her after I found out about it. Because I told you to give me who took you to the hospital, because I wanted to know what was going on.
Okay. And then, so then I decided I wanted to drive myself to the hospital. Like, no, we're taking you in an ambulance. Right. And I was like, that costs money. I don't want to pay money. Yeah. And then, but they said if you get admitted, you don't have to pay the deductible. So I was like, I just saved $80 from the hospital. And so they take me to my room. I get some stuff. And like the police officer walks me to my room. Everyone's like looking at me in the hallway. They're like, shit, did Tyler get like busted for something? And like I had weed.
Such a fucked up system.
I know. I had weed in my room.
Yeah.
But I put it in my friend's room before he came up. So I was like trying to save my ass. And then so I go to the hospital. I get in the waiting room time.
Just what it's
okay.
It's going in and out, but like
yeah,
you're good.
Okay, and then that's when I call you when I'm in the waiting room. I'm like, yo, James, I'm like in the hospital.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. Okay. So this was the moment for me where. All right. So a little brief about my situation. I had a very similar situation to Tyler, not in a way that I think was as extreme, but you know, I went through a very similar situation, and Tyler knew about that. Tyler was in school, and while his was amping up, mine was going on, and so I had just gotten out of this whole entire situation. I was quite frankly worried about, with my experience, when I went to the hospital, instead of admitting me to like a room or something, they admitted me like into like the behavioral health area, which at Lancashire General Hospital is literally just a fucking huge cement wall with no, like walls without no windows and a door they lock from the outside. And so when I went in there, they said they weren't going to lock me in, and they locked me in, and I freaked the fuck out. And that was the moment for me where it was like really fucking weird, because like I knew what happens like when you go to the hospital. I was actually kind of mad at you for not telling me that you were going to the hospital before you went to the hospital, because
I didn't like know
of that. No, yeah, I know. Because of that situation, I was like, bro, like I cannot believe you're in that situation. I said, you know, just be very careful while you're in the hospital and just do not freak out. Because like when I was freaking out in the hospital, they were ready to put me in a straitjacket and like put me to sleep. No cap.
So I talked to you. You're like, be careful, man. I'm like, okay. Then they drug tested me. I was like, shit, my parents are gonna know I smoke weed.
Yeah, but at this point, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and so then they take me back to this like the behavioral health part of the hospital, and they put me in this like big room with like a solid like steel door. Is it okay if we go for like an hour-ish?
No, you're good.
Okay,
No, I'm trying to. My phone just fucking went off for some reason. I'm trying to not have it do that.
Okay, and like the door is like solid like steel. I was like, fuck, I don't want them to like close it and like lock me in there. And there's like a little like bed I can like sit on.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a tiny ass bed, man. I got long legs.
Yeah. And it sounded though that you were like in a better position than I was.
Yeah. At least at this
hospital. Yeah.
And so the therapist comes in, also a dick. I was
assholes. They're assholes in the hospital. I don't get that.
I was like telling him like stories about like about like the thing with like my girlfriend, how we hooked up. He's like, do you think that was a good decision? It seems like you like messed up. I was like, well, yeah, but like you don't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, you have two options. I can look for a mental institution to put you in, or you can go home right now. I was like, well, I've come this far. It's like 1 a.m. at this point, and I'm like, might as well just go. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna make some calls and try to find one that accepts your insurance. I'm like, okay. He comes back at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
They're like, you can sleep here if you want. I got like 2 hours of sleep. They wake me up, 6 a.m. I'm just like a zombie at this point because I'm like stressing out about all this shit. They put me in the ambulance again, take me to should I say the name of the place? I probably shouldn't.
Nah, because I'm about to toss it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a fucking fuck this place. And then they take me there, and then they asked me a shit ton of questions. The nurse asked me a shit ton of questions. I'm like, can I go to sleep?
Right.
They're like, you gotta fill all this shit out first. I'm like, alright. Fill out all this information. Then they take me into the actual, like, psych ward. And they're like, they took all my shit. Basically, they didn't let me have, like, besides clothes, they didn't let me have, like, anything.
Yeah.
And they took the strings out of my shoes. Alright, so I had these, like, pair of, like, Jordan, sweatpants.
Yeah.
They didn't even give them to me, but they fucking took out the string. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? These are like my favorite pants.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that was kind of funny, but sad. But and then, so I just like conk out for like 4 hours. And I'm like, they gave me all this like this hospital gown and type shit. And I have a roommate, and I liked my roommate. He was an addict. But he was like a really sweet guy.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then I'm like freaking at this point. I'm like, I don't belong here. There are like people who are a lot more like have like more like intense symptoms than I do. And I'm just like, I don't want to be here.
Absolutely.
And so then I go to sleep that night, wake up in the morning, I have a visit. I get to talk to the doctor that day. And this doctor seems like a fake doctor. Like, he was wearing, like, sweatpants and, like a Nike tracksuit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he, like, had, like, he had long hair and a beard. I'm like, is this, like, are you just, like, a stoner that, like, walked into, like, a medical school and just decided to stay? He's like, all right, Tyler, so I got your diagnosis. You're diagnosed with major depressive disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and this is a funny one, cannabis use disorder.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. Oh my god, that freaked me out. I was like, what the fuck? What is cannabis?
Yeah. I'm like, I occasionally smoke pot, so I guess
That's like
I
a disease?
have a disorder now. Yeah.
Some Christian shit, bro.
This wasn't a Christian place, though.
I don't care. That's what it sounds like.
And I'm like, bet. Like, what's the plan? He's like, well, we're going to put you on some meds. It's like, we're going to put you on Seroquel. That'll get the voices to stop, and like we're gonna put you on Effexor, which is an antidepressant.
So basically, they were just feeding you medicine.
Yeah, and I literally said to him, I was like, he's like, "What's your? Do you have any like questions?" I'm like, "Yeah, I feel like you're just gonna like drug me up and like not give me any like help. Is that what happens here?" And he's like, "No, we have like therapy and stuff," and like which wasn't true.
Right.
They had like group therapy, but they talk about like the mundanest shit.
Yeah.
That didn't help anyone. It was just like a broad overview of certain things.
Mm.
And so I'm like, okay. I take the Seroquel, I feel like a zombie right away. I only take that for 2 days. I'm like, I'm not taking this anymore. Because I just like, was like, I feel like I was asleep, but I was like walking around.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like still like, my anxiety levels are like super high. Cause like people like, there are like fights in like the psych ward. And like yelling and screaming, and like people who are trying to like hurt themselves or like other people, and it's just not a very good place to get help, I feel like. And I did meet some friends who from there, one of the guys was like super funny. And,
tell them about the sticky note story.
Okay, so they had this inspirational quote wall, and one of the quotes was like, "You do you," and I was like, "That's the stupidest thing to tell people in a psych ward."
Right.
Yeah. Because like, oh, someone's telling me to kill someone. You do you. You know,
Right.
it's not a good thing to tell people.
It's not a good motto.
And so I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm gonna make my own inspirational quote. So I just write the word balls on a piece of paper and draw a scrotum and just put it up there. It's up there for like 5 days.
Wow.
No one,
Yeah.
the Pete staff, not very observant. And finally they take it down. I'm like, fuck these people.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then I write a balls to
Oh, you put
the
another one up?
sequel. I wrote balls to the sequel. Another scrotum. Put it up. That's gone within a day. And on my last day, I drew a cock and balls and I wrote the cock and balls trilogy. So it was like a movie series. That was taken down within 20 minutes. They were on to me by then. And
you're probably watching all those cameras being like, who the fuck is doing this?
And so yeah, I was like super like stressed out. And like this guy with schizophrenia came up to me. He was like, "Hey you." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let me ask you something." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Are you with my wife?" I'm like,
"Oh,
what?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Be honest with me. Are you fucking my wife?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like freaking out. And like a nurse like pulls him away. And like I'm like, "Hey, can you like move this guy? Because I'm like scared he's gonna like come at me." And she's like, and then she comes back to me a couple hours later. She's like, "We smooth things over. He doesn't think you're fucking his wife. Everything's okay." I'm like, "Okay, thank you. I appreciate that." Shout out to that nurse.
Yeah.
She was a real one. And so around like the 5th day, the 4th day, I'm like, I've had it with this place.
Right.
Because like, and like they take away your phone the first day, and like so I couldn't like call or text anybody. They let me take out a couple names who I could call. I called you like every day.
Right.
I called Emily like every day. I actually called my ex-girlfriend a couple times.
I was so mad at you for that.
Because I don't know, I was in a weird
that was a weird
state.
spot, yeah.
And then they actually, some people came to visit me, and they were kind of like shook about being in a mental institution, because I mean, it's a scary place sometimes. And my ex-girlfriend came. Did I tell you that she came?
I was so fucking mad about that, because like there was no reason why she needed to be there.
Yeah.
And I get it, but like
it was
really, that was unnecessary, and the fact that no one thought that was a bad idea that's when I was like, bro, like what the fuck?
I definitely should not have
called her.
Come. That was a bad idea.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
And then like so they come, it was really nice to like see them, and so then I think that was like the 4th day. So like during that day I was like, I'm getting out of here. And I put in my 3-day notice.
Yeah.
And because I was there voluntarily.
Oh, this is fucked. I forgot about this next part.
Yeah. What?
Didn't they not let you out like on that 3rd day, and they had to, or they weren't gonna let you like leave?
No, they were gonna let me leave.
I remember something about you not being able to do something then.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll get to that.
Okay.
And so then I put it in. And like they have to approve it, so like I wait, and like a couple days later they're like, "Okay, you can leave." I think you're talking about like I just trying to see like a social worker.
Yeah.
Like every day, because like I wanted
and
to like
no one would talk
to someone,
you,
and no one would talk to me, and so like this place was not very well run, and some of like the staff was kind of like
shitty.
One of the staff ladies, she was like such a bitch. I was just spit. And I don't call people bitches often. But she was. And, oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is a sad part. So I went into the psych ward February 6th, and my birthday is February 8th.
Oh yeah,
so
that was so fucked, bro.
I had my birthday in a psych ward, and that was not
fun.
Definitely one of the least favorite birthdays.
Can you hit the space bar on that and then hit record?
R.
Yeah.
And, I did get an oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah.
Shout out to the guy, I won't say his name, who got me one. And he knows who he is. And so yeah. And then the last couple of days, they my 2 friends who I was really close with, they left a couple of days before I did. And like that was like really hard because like those were the only people I talked to. So like the last couple of days were like especially rough. And what was I gonna say? I drew like a lot of art. We had art classes, and like when I got out, I gave people to like my friends who came.
Yeah.
And they appreciated that. And yeah, I lost my train of thought for a second.
Yeah.
And so then the last couple of days, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just fucking with these people, right? Because they approved that I'm getting out, so I was like mooning people and licking windows. I was like,
so
these
bored.
people. I told one of the nurses that I was a spy from Russia, and she's like, if you say it too loudly, you're gonna like be here longer. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm a fucking spy. Then I ran away, and so yeah, then the day came where I was gonna leave, and like the doctor was like, he's like, you sure you're gonna leave? I'm like, yeah, I fucking hate this place. And then they set me up with a counselor like outside. What?
You're good.
Okay.
You need to come closer.
And I was like, cool. So then I leave. I say goodbye to everybody. There was this lady who was a drug addict, and I'm pretty sure she wanted to have sex with me because she was like as we were leaving, she like grabbed my arm and was like rubbing, and she's like, I wish we would have spent more time together. Yeah. And I'm like, no thanks. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And then I get all my stuff back. I was like, why did you take the strings out of my Jordan pants? And oh yeah, I didn't have shoes until like the 4th day. I was walking around in socks because I didn't have any shoes that were my size, and they wouldn't let me have my shoes because they had strings in it.
That's stupid.
And so they take me back to Slippery Rock. I meet all my friends. They're like, I'm so happy you're back, Tyler. I'm like, thanks. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
And so then things are pretty decent, but then I'm on these drugs, and like I still want to have something to like I feel good with. Like I don't want to smoke weed or drink, so then I started smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm quitting now. I'm on the patch, baby. And I trying to set up an appointment with these people, and I get to see these people near Slippery Rock, and I have a couple meetings with them, and they tell me we have like a 3rd meeting, and they're like, we have to cancel. And that was the meeting where I was going to get evaluated by the...
Oh, this was what I was mad about, because no one would come and see you, and it was stupid.
And like,
all right, can I input one thing before we keep going about, just because now you're out of the psych ward?
Yeah.
Look, the main thing here for me of all this that I think is something that needs to be highlighted on more of a serious note, we have another show on here that on the network that has talked about stuff like this before, but I don't think either one of them were in a situation like me or Tyler. And I want to express something like extremely clear and something that really frustrated me when I was going through my experience. The people that work in these mental health like institutions are at every situation that I went through. I had to go through 4 different situations to feel like I was in a good spot where I at least felt comfortable. Actually, it was insane.
Yeah.
I had doctors laughing at me while I was freaking out in rooms, police officers laughing at me in the city of Lancaster. I don't give a fuck. I'm putting that shit on blast because like this shit was so fucked that like, and from my experience and like stuff from Tyler's experience, like the thing that I feel like is so important like is like, yo, there are ways of tackling this. We just need to make it more of a focus. Back to what I was saying. It's just a bad situation.
Yeah.
Like, Phil Haven was bad. I really don't care, honestly. And I feel like you could have even said the place because, like, the reality of the situation is that
it's
people...
Clarion.
Yeah, like, the reality of the situation is that people have to go to these places and they have to have experiences. And, you know, after this experience, I actually started reading a lot of people's experiences online in places like this, and they're very, very, very similar to mine.
They're very...
And that's fucked up that no one is going in there and actually looking into it because, like, the way that they treat people in there, like, when you're in a situation, like, where your mental state, and, like, that's something that's, like, controls your whole entire body, when that's fucked up, you don't have really anything to go on, anything else. So you seriously need to be in a position where you're being like comforted and not like treated as just a number, and that is so important. It's so important. Like even when I left Phil Haven and I did that whole situation, bro, I said to them on my way out, I was like, this was the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life. I said, I cannot believe that this is what I have to go through and deal with and use for you to have me feel like you're getting better. Like, I don't understand, like, why does me having conversations in a group of people, like, all these people were just looking at me, they were like, I've been here going to this therapy for this long, and it's really, really helped me, like, this, that, and the third. And they're all saying the same thing, and they're just like, and I'm like, yo, what the actual fuck, like, they brainwash you into feeling like you're being better, but it's, like, literally, like, it's a dependency thing. Like, people just kept going back there and back there and back there. They'll be fine, and then they go back. And, like, yeah, I had a guy in one of my group therapy sessions that was, like, there for, like, fucking, had been going in and out for, like, 50, 60 years. And then they blended the ones that were, like, drug addicts and, like, people who were having mental issues. And that's two completely different situations.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Some of the people I've heard just, like, go there for, like, rehab.
It's like they just throw you in these pens all day and, like, say, all right, you're going to go do these types of workshops. These are going to make you feel better, and they really don't.
Yeah. It's just, like, a terrible situation to be in. Like, there was a point where I was, like, in the fetal position, just, like...
Same.
Like, just fucking, like, tweaking out because I'm, like, so freaked out.
And I think it's crazy to talk about it, and I think it's weird because, like, you know, there's a stigma behind it.
Yeah.
And we're men. Yeah. And that's like
we're
that.
Men.
And we are. But
we
like,
are,
no, but the reality of it is like we're men.
Yeah.
And the perspective of this side of things for a lot of guys who I've known that deal with this, a lot of other like, and I'm not saying like, oh, like the girls are the only people that do this. I'm just saying like these are two true stories about how we've experienced things that are good and bad, and working through that, you know. And I don't know. That's just like I just like fuck the hospitals when it comes to that, man. Like, and if you do feel like you need to go to the hospital, I'd say please go for it. Get whatever help you think is going to be best for you. Like seriously, like it all really depends on your situation. We're just taking what we're saying off of our own experiences, but like, yo, like don't think about when you go to like. Just be very careful in hospitals. That's what I would say. More so than like a place like that's like an inpatient place, because like they deal with crazy people all the time.
Yeah.
But hospitals are a place where, you know, if you're going in there, you need to be very, very, very careful about what you say. Yeah. And I would even say if you're going into the hospital, document everything that you say to a doctor if you're going for a mental illness, because I was in a situation over at Lancaster General Hospital where I had told a doctor something. And I responded to, he was like, have you like tried to kill yourself? And I said no. And he went and told everybody in there that I'd said yes.
Jesus.
And so like, I don't know, like I wish, like there were times where I was thinking about like damn, like I had my phone at that time. I could have recorded that conversation and been like, hey, this didn't happen.
Yeah.
And like, I ended up getting, that's why they were saying like I needed to stay there like overnight. Some stupid shit. I was like, no.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I went into the psych ward like a boy and like came out a man because everything was like so fucked up and like traumatic. Yeah. That like I feel like I can like
handle anything.
Do anything. Right
anything.
Now.
You can handle anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's crazy because like when people like you and I like get through these things and they conquer them, like the reality of the situation is because of how mentally fucked up people can get through this. Like, you know, there's always help, but, you know, it's a process. It's a long process. And consistency's key with it, too.
Yeah.
Like, being consistent with going to your doctors, and, like, if you're trying medicine and it's not working, like, do it.
Yeah.
Like, try it. And if it doesn't work for you, there's many other like, opportunities and things like that for you to help you. But, yeah, I don't know.
I just have a funny, thing. So like remember the Tinder girl that I went on a couple dates with? So like the second like I like when I'm in the hospital before they take my phone away, this is kind of a dick move, but I was like, I'm in the hospital, LOL. And then they take my phone. And you couldn't respond. And then I couldn't respond. So I called her from the psych ward phone. I was like, hey, it's Tyler from a few nights ago. I'm not like ghosting or anything. I'm in a mental hospital.
Oh my gosh, dude! Did she hit you up after that at all? No. Oh, man.
And then after I got out, I was like, hey, sorry about that whole deal. I'm like, do you want to hang out again?
Did she ever reply?
She's like, I think you should focus on yourself.
On yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is the icing on the cake. So I see her later, a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
And I text her, like, we go to, like, the same, like, event. And then I was like, hey, do you want to get frozen yogurt after this? Because we got frozen yogurt earlier, and she didn't respond.
She didn't even respond.
I knew she wasn't going to respond. That was just a funny thing. So I guess, like, with the point of what I'm trying to say with this is, like, if you, like, think that you, if you have something, even if, like, you're questionable about it, I would, go see somebody, like a therapist.
Yeah.
And,
therapy is always, like, a really, really good start.
And, like, I would just try to find, like, support from, like, your friends and stuff, like, just, like, talk to people about it, you know, get their 2 cents. And, like, if it weren't for you and, like, Emily, yeah, like, I don't know, like, what I would have done.
Yeah. I think, you know, and I think it goes, like, both ways.
Yeah.
Though my situation, I was very worried about contacting other people because I feel like in certain cases with relationships with people, I was the person that could really handle anything.
Yeah.
And I know that when I told my friends a lot about what would happen in this situation, I was really good at playing it off. And when I told my friends that I was going to be going away for a while, everybody was just kind of, like, really in shock. And that was, like,
That's
one of the
what people
things,
were in shock too, yeah.
That was one of the things for me that was really hard for me to, like, reach out. And, like, one thing I would say is, like, if those people are your people that are real friends and people that really care about you, those are the ones that are actually going to make sure that you're good. Like, like, I had friends that checked on me that really did know about me. I mean, you knew what was going on, Nick knew what was going on, and it's just a matter of, like, being understanding. And, like, you know, I look at it this way. Sometimes, if you're on the other end of that, it may be annoying to take the minute to listen, but, like, that for me, I know that there have been times where if someone wouldn't have picked up the phone or answered a text, it would have been a difference between life and death.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just want to thank you for being
there
for me.
Hell yeah, dude.
And
I'm glad that we were able to come on here and just, like, have this discussion. I think it was really good.
Yeah. I'm in a decent place now. I just started dating someone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Her name's Maddie. She's pretty great. Shout out to Maddie.
Yeah.
And she's very, like, supportive and, like, empathetic. And
and that's good.
She's fucking great.
Yeah.
So I'm taking, ladies. So stop DMing.
Yeah, man. Dude, absolutely. I'm always going to be here for you. You know how that is. And, you know, anybody that's watching this and saw this, you know, oh, hold on, really quick. I want to talk about this shit. And I'm gonna face the camera. I'm sorry, but I want to, because we talked a lot about some personal things, and I know we're going, like, seriously over time, but this is really important for your sake and my sake. Okay. I ran into a situation online yesterday. I don't want to talk, not yesterday, this week, and I don't want to talk into too much detail on it. Somebody took some personal pictures of me and basically defaced them.
Oh, okay.
And this is a serious conversation that Tyler and I had that we put out on the internet to help people that, you know, we know that are in similar situations. And not just for that, like, we make content. This is what we do. And we're aware that people are watching this. You can have whatever opinion you want. But I swear to God, I will ruin anyone that takes this piece of content that we've created right now and that will be very, very bad for whoever that is. I want to make that extremely clear.
I would be scared for the person if they do it.
I would be too. I'm sorry, I don't mean to come at it from that perspective, but seriously, like, do not fucking do it. I'm not playing any games. So that's all I need to say, because I'm probably sure that person's going to be watching this.
Okay. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who have supported me through this time.
Yeah, shouts to the fucking Pink Hoodie podcast, and dude, you're doing awesome shit, man.
Thanks,
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
This is, like, one of my favorite shows that, like, we've been able to add to this, and I'm fucking with it a lot.
I really appreciate you giving me this platform.
Fuck yeah, bro. You got it, man.
Love you, man.
Love you too, dog. All right, Joe.
Come back next week. Thank you for
See
watching.
you guys.